gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome the chair of the session, Mr. Venkata Phanidhar, MPhil in Hospital and Health Systems Management, Group CEO of Medway Hospital. Join us on the dais, sir. Please join me in welcoming the co-chair, Mrs. Sandhya Cherian, Vice President, Frontier Lifeline Hospital. Please give a round of applause for both Mr. Venkata Phanidhar and Mrs. Sandhya Cherian. And now the session is over to you both. Please kindly take over.
India, with a population of over 140 crores, and despite having over 70,000 hospitals across the country, still faces serious challenges in providing accessible and affordable healthcare. Technology has definitely revolutionized healthcare, more so with the latest disruptive technology in healthcare, with predictive analysis to assist with decision-making, diagnosis, and enabling personalized treatment plans. The AI doctor is no longer a myth, but a reality. For this session on disruptive technology in healthcare, we have a very eminent panel of speakers, and I have the privilege of introducing them to our August gathering. May I now request Dr. Ilankumaran Kaliamoorthy, the CEO of RELA Institute, to kindly come up on the stage. Dr. Arunkumar Govindarajan, can I please have you on stage? Dr. Arunkumar, he is the Executive Director and the Radiologist at Aarti Scans and Labs. Mr. Subbaraman Balasubramanyan, sir, can I have you on stage? With over 28 years of experience in global IT business, Mr. Subbaraman is the Senior Vice President of HCL Tech, a member of the CEO Club of HCL Tech, and the past chairman of the CII Madurai chapter. Mr. Ananthapadmanabhan is the founder and the CEO of 10X Health Technologies, a company that's based in Coimbatore. Mr. Suman Katragadd, please, on the dais. Mr. Suman is the CEO and founder of Heaps.ai. I now hand over the floor to Mr. Venkata. Thank you.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Sandhya. Happy afternoon to all of you. So, dear friends, I want to start on a lighter note. When we talk about disruptive technologies, so one fine morning, my wife asked me, we have to go to a showroom close by and buy a washing machine. So I called my boss and said, I need 1 hour permission. Not you, boss, not you. I called him and said, I need 1 hour permission. He said, why do you need 1 hour? I just said, my wife. Then he said, please take. I didn't even explain him why I want 1 hour. When the moment I said wife, he said, please take. And he said, make sure you only want 1 hour or you want the entire day. I said, no, 1 hour is fair enough because it's only to buy a washing machine. We went to the shop. The entire floor is dedicated to washing machines. That's the first takeaway for me. Then it started, it's going on. There's a vertical spin, there's a horizontal spin, there is loading from the front, back, above. It went on. Breakfast time is over, it's nearing lunch. And my wife was asking only one question, what is the probability of breakdowns? So finally they said, we landed up, somebody said that this is the best one, it has only 20% probability of breakdown. Then she finalized. After we finalized and I took my credit card out, he gave us 1 samosa and 20 ml of tea. Till that time, he never even bothered to offer us water. So I called the office and said, I am not coming for half a day, I'll come post lunch. I got into the car and then said, was this too much for one washing machine? You took the entire half a day of my house. She said, you never appreciate whatever I do for you. I was only negotiating and finding out for you what is the best technology. Now you have only 20% chance of washing your clothes and the kids' clothes. So when we talk about technology, it has so much for everyone, and particularly with reference to healthcare. Every stakeholder has to be convinced. We have so many questions, so much of ambiguity, so much of doubts, fear. At the same time, we have an opportunity to explore. Dear friends, that is the purpose of this particular event, and that's the purpose of this particular session. We have some of the most eminent speakers, okay, who just don't, go by the books, but they are going to speak out their experiences. They are going to speak out the challenges they face because they were on the ground, okay, into the reality. And I'm sure that this will be a great opportunity for all of you to learn and embrace technology for your organizations. So my first question, obviously, would like to, because Dr. Ilan is always a delight to hear. Okay, he's very realistic. He will never talk to impress those who are in front of them. He talks what is the fact. So Dr. Ilan, as a CEO of a quaternary care, large, very prominent organization, okay, what are those adopting technology, particularly disruptive technology, be it wireless technology, IoT, AI, machine learning, whatever it is, okay. What are those logical and realistic limitations, challenges, and opportunities that you face as a leader?
Thank you. That's a wonderful question, I would say. So to start with, I'm not going to talk about what we have done at our place. I just want to give some overall impression about technology and the implementation in healthcare sector. There are hundreds of technologies are coming out, maybe in the last 5 years, maybe since after COVID itself, there are hundreds of technology, software, instruments, and so many things have come out. When you become a decision maker as a hospital owner or IT person or a CEO, there are many factors we need to consider while choosing the technology. Actually, I just want to take a couple of points from the session 1 and session 2, what we have discussed in this platform. In session 1, where we spoke about sustainability, we have had hospital owners talking about return on investment. We have got insurance company talking about how they reduce the amount or they pay to the hospitals. So hospitals are running with a tight margin. If you want to invest in a technology, there are a lot of thought process going on. Whether that technology is going to make any return immediately, or is it going to save cost, or in 5 to 10 years time, whether we can get the cost back. So cost is a very important factor for us to determine whether the technology can be adopted or not. If you take the session 2, where we spoke about customer care, if you take last 30-40 years, customers, our patients, what they expected from us, from the healthcare providers, have changed a lot. In that session, they mentioned that even hospital industry, what a customer expected is changing a lot. So we have to listen to the customers of their expectation. When I was a child, I used to get childhood asthma. My expectation at that time was to go to a doctor, local doctor. I need to travel 2-3 kilometers. I had to wait in their clinic. Maybe I was the 5th patient to get an injection done. They mixed 2-3 medicines, I don't know what they mixed, and then they give injection. Within 5-10 minutes, I got cured. That was the expectation from my family as a patient. That was the expectation. Now I have a child. What's the expectation now after many years? I would prefer to manage my child at home from a distance. And even if I go to a hospital, I expect not only the best quality of care, at the same time, better experience, whether I am being treated properly, whether I am being communicated properly, or whether they use the right technology to treat my child. There are so many factors I look into that. I'm sure all of you will agree with the same factor. So every decade, the expectation of the consumers, I'm talking about the patients, are also constantly changing. That's point number 2. Point number 3, Indian healthcare system is completely unique. We have a small nursing home or small clinics. They are really struggling to even get a computer system. They might ask, "Ennappa AI la pesringa? Ennaala oru computer vaanga mudiyala. Why are you talking about AI?" We have to listen to them. At the same time, if we run a quaternary care center in Chennai, we might get international patients. They might come and say, "Are you using a robo? Are you using AI technology? What kind of things you are using it?" So we can't have a blanket policy to adapt in Indian healthcare system. At the same time, there are a lot of gaps can be filled with technology. I'm talking about cost. We need to understand what's the outcome we are expecting. Here, our primary target should be best quality clinical care. That's the most important bit. And the second point will be whether that particular patient should be able to afford that clinical quality of care or not. A small center, we might be able to get a robo to operate upon. Do you think the patients can afford it? That's not possible. So whenever we think about bringing in a technology, we need to look into local condition. It doesn't mean that we can't bring in any technology to a smaller center. I wanted to quote a few examples actually. If you are running a, is it for me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll stop in a minute. So if you are running a small clinic, you don't need to bring in high-end technologies. You can have a good electronic prescription pads that's easily available. They'll actually improve the transparency and also the communication for that particular patient. The investment is much low. It's very easy to adapt. If you look at our hospital, the challenges what we face, I will say, how the system or doctors or nurses or paramedics, whoever is working there, how they will adapt to the newer technologies is very challenging. It's not going to be very easy. The hospital might wanted to put money on the capex. The people working with you should be properly trained. Unless otherwise they see a direct benefit, there will be a lot of reluctance for them to adapt any newer technologies, including doctors. So I'll just stop there before moving on to the next point.
So that sound is limitation of technology. So we can't help it. So I think Sandhya, I should give fair chance to you also to pose some questions. And the gentleman who is going to be coming next onto the dais, first he comes, then the technology comes. Okay, it's very popular in the healthcare industry for adopting technologies and promoting them. It's all yours, Ananthapadmanabhan sir, please.
Good afternoon, Chairman.
Sir, since you've been working with the healthcare industry for more than 30 years and you worked in very renowned institutions, Apollo, Covey, so many different organizations, I'm sure you understand the facility of each of these organizations really well and their facility management system. Can you tell us a little bit about your hyper automation and how this can actually enable to increase the efficiency in hospital management?
Thank you, Sandhya. Not little, I can tell you a lot, okay? I think, Venkata, you were talking about the last spent and we have to run fast. But you must understand I am an old man, right? So I cannot, wait, I cannot run so fast. And I have also come all the way from Coimbatore, went to Thanjavur and I have come here. So you should give me a benefit of about at least 3 or 4 minutes more than what I should. But one thing I will definitely venture to do is to run it through this presentation very, very fast. I am talking about hyper-automation in hospital infrastructure. Believe me, this hospital infrastructure hyper-automation system is a very frugal engineering system. It's a frugal engineering system which we have implemented in many of the hospitals in Thanjavur. I see some, those managers are here, the technicians are, the CEO is here. We implemented in Thanjavur, in the Trichy, Coimbatore, and that is the most interesting part of it. We have been able to implement it not in large hospitals, in metropolitan cities like Chennai, maybe Delhi or Mumbai, but in the rural areas of India. So what is hyper-automation and how do we use hyper-automation in the small hospital? Basically, hyper-automation is a process of achieving very high level of automation, and it is the orchestration of emerging technologies, disruptive technologies like low-code, no-code. How many of you have heard about low-code, no-code? Can you raise your hands, please? How many of you have used low-code, no-code? Very good. I see at least about 4 or 5 people using low-code, no-code technologies. Cloud computing, Internet of Things, wireless technologies, BLE, Bluetooth, low energy technologies, real-time. How many of you have used real-time location tracking system? Then robotic process automation to digitize and automate. Digitization is different and automation is different, okay? So the objective of this technology is to augment human effort and ensure operational excellence, and it's a very, very essential part of digital transformation in the hospitals. So why hyperautomation? What hyperautomation can do? It can digitize the entire facility. There is a small difference between digitization and digitalization. Digitalization includes automation. Then rapid deployment of software, very cost effective. Maybe a hyperautomation system implemented in a hospital can be 1/10 of the cost of building management system. Building management system from Honeywell or Siemens can cost you about 80 to 90 lakhs. This can cost you about 5 to 6 lakhs. And it's a real-time data, 24/7 is available. Any device you can operate it on mobile, you can operate it on maybe tablet, you can operate it on a laptop or anything like that. And then the ubiquitous data is also possible. You can see the data any place, any time, by anybody is possible. Online approvals are possible. You don't have to take a paper and take approval from your manager. And sustainable organizations are possible. You can make it paperless, reduce the carbon footprint. I'm going to show you some concrete examples of all that. And facilitate remote audit of your energy, remote audit of your systems, remote audit, even statutory audit can be done. I'm going to show you how it is done. Believe me, it is being done in rural hospitals, tier 2, tier 3 hospitals in Tamil Nadu. That is the nicest thing about this. These are all the IoT devices which are using. They are all very inexpensive. Please understand, these devices cost only about 8,000 rupees or 9,000 rupees, not 20,000, 40,000, 50,000. You have gateways, you have drip monitors, you have maybe IoT devices to monitor temperature, monitor energy and all that. We don't want to go deep into this. What are all the hyper-automation modules which we have implemented in Thanjavur Hospital, maybe Madurai Hospital, or maybe even Coimbatore Hospital? These are all the modules we have implemented. You may ask me, when you have HIS, when you have SAP, why do you want this? In my experience of 35 years, I have found that there are 10 HIS vendors, there are about, say, 3 or 4 ERP vendors, but they have got a lot of gaps which are not addressed. And I find these are all the areas where those HIS don't address, like asset management system, engineering and services management system, facilities management system, environment management system, transportation, ambulance, fire safety and fire safety equipment management system, cost management system. These are all ticketing, they are not addressed by those. And if you want to buy, you have got individual vendors, they are very, very expensive. So based on our experience in this last, say, 20, 30 years, using low code, no code, using technologies like cloud, we have tried to develop and implement very fast implementation, very cost effective implementation. But in all these implementations, the credit should go to the users. I'm amazed by the engineers and technologies that are available in Thanjavur, Trichy and Coimbatore and all that. I have found it difficult to implement it in Chennai. I have found it difficult to implement it in Bangalore. But it was like a breeze implementing it. It was a great education when I go to Thanjavur Hospital and implement it there. So these are all, when you talk about asset management, we are talking about CT scanners, MRI and all that. Now in many of the hospitals, we don't have a good asset management because it's not a part of HIS in many of the HIS. What we can do this asset management. For asset management is to breakdown management, preventive management, calibration, repairs and maintenance, supplier portal, ticket, license follow-up, ticketing system, all can be done this. This is how the interface looks. Very, very simple, very intuitive signal which we can develop in a matter of about 2-3 days. We can understand the system and develop this. You will find you can get a dashboard for this, inspection checklist, breakdown maintenance, all are in the tabs. You can just, I hope it is visible there. And this is the kind of report we get. Maybe some of you can even visit those hospitals if you are interested. And you will see asset registers made, QR codes are made. Using these QR codes, you can do the preventive maintenance, breakdown maintenance in the mobile app, using the mobile app. My biomedical engineer in that Thanjavur hospital tells me one day, sir, I am very happy. Previously, documentation used to take 45 minutes for me or 1 hour. Now it takes only 2 to 5 minutes for the entire documentation because it is on the mobile, it is on the tab. And this is the kind of preventive maintenance schedules we are able to create, like your appointment for the patients. We are able to create the preventive maintenance schedules. We are able to give you dashboards like this. How many equipments are there, how many major equipments are there, minor equipments are there. But lot of education came from the users. I repeat, lot of education came from the users in Thanjavur, maybe Trichy, Madurai, Coimbatore and all that to build all this. And this is the kind of other reports also dashboards also we can make. And engineering, maintenance management, we have electricity supply management, captive electricity generation, third-party power purchasing, water tank management, water level management, UPS, diesel and petrol, LPG purchases, liquid medical oxygen, bulk cylinder purchase, telephone. All these can be monitored using this. One thing I found based on my so many years of experience is that HIS is digitized, your patient care is digitized, EMR is digitized, PACS is done, maybe even CRM is done. But facilities engineering, maintenance management, ambulance management is not digitized at all anywhere. But I thought it was a great opportunity, and that's why we went into this. And we are able to do, in one of the hospitals, 40 ambulances, 40 vehicles are being managed through the system. Out of the 12 are ambulances and 28 are vehicles, transporting nurses and other things. And this is the infrastructure we have. In each of these infrastructure, you have energy meters like this. It is there in the panel. Now they are all taking the readings, starting reading, closer reading, all that. Now we are able to put IoT. This is a great thing. This IoT toy hardly costs about 12,000 or 13,000 rupees. This I take only 1 hour to fit it. Just fit this, put it for 4 energy meters. I can monitor the energy, quality of power, the quantity of power, everything I am able to manage. And this is how we implemented it in Thanjavur hospital and one hospital in Coimbatore. This is how these technicians do it so well. And this is the kind of report. Just imagine every day you must watch this report very clearly, because Tamil Nadu has got different labs. Peak time, lean time, regular time, they have different tariff. So different tariff, I am able to tell every day. This is done for a hospital in Thanjavur, and you will see every day I am able to tell how much power they consumed, what is the value of power they consume, whether they can do the load balancing using this. Lean time they can run some motors and things like that, pumping the water, but not CT scan and MRI. So this is the kind of report I am getting. This environment, this is again interesting. This is the intersection of training and intersection of training and technology. I'm going to tell you a story on this. This is how now it is being managed. We have about, say, 25 refrigerators in a hospital. We have 25 places to monitor, like operation theater, ICU. We have to monitor the temperature. Now the nurses are made to write down. But do you know, you come to hospital, and some of the hospitals in rural areas where we have done, the nurses, they don't have to write down. They just enter it on the, like WhatsApp, they enter it on the digital platform, and they have just done away with all this paperwork. And now in one of the hospitals they are doing like this, and we can monitor operation theaters, intensive cares, MRI areas, blood bank refrigerators, for food and laboratory cold storages, mortuary rooms, computer rooms, we can do that. And we put an IoT device like this. This again costs about 4,000 or 5,000 rupees. We put in a Wi-Fi enabled system, get it onto a platform. We monitor all, and then humidity, temperature we can monitor. And we can also put IoT devices on the blood bank refrigerators and get readings like this. Now every shift they have to rate. But here we are able to get the data into the platform either by using IoT or manually entering it. And this is also the graph we are able to get using this. NABH authorities want to know whether you are monitoring continuously. Honestly, I am looking for a day. I think Lal Joseph is here. She will help us in doing this. Yeah, I am looking for a day, honestly, when all these hospitals will digitize these things and it will be available. I wanted that to be delayed a bit by 2 minutes, right? Okay, so what I would really like is NABH should ask the people, we want to monitor from your central system itself. So if you want to have 20 operation theaters, ICUs to be monitored, 20 refrigerators to be monitored, I should give an access and they should be able to monitor. That is done by Pollution Control Board already. This is the kind of dashboard we create and give it to them. And this is a very interesting point which I should tell. Pari sir was talking about the training. In one of the hospitals, we had put this system, and I was monitoring from Coimbatore. And one day I found temperature of the refrigerator was going up to 24 degrees. Temperature inside the refrigerator was going 24 degrees. By about 7 o'clock I found 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, the temperature was 24. Then I slowly called my IT engineer and the maintenance engineer, and then asked them to go and see, I don't want to say who did it, but they were opening up the refrigerator and taking inventory and then trying to take the inventory and put it back. And then I said, my God, it's all vaccines, it's all medicines. How can you keep it outside, keep the door open? It's not okay. So then I told them, no, close it and then put back the medicines and all that. But by the time it was already 1 hour or something like that or over. But here, I don't know where it is. Training was a problem. They didn't know that you should not keep it outside for 45 minutes outside and do it. Or the supervisor did not come and supervise it. There was a problem, of course, we made it as a part of the training system that they should not do like this. So that's why you see there, the temperature had gone up to 24 degrees. And we are able to get an online results on this. We can also get some notifications, we can get emails on this. I told you about ambulance. We are also able to do GPS device on this ambulance and locate the ambulance, track the patient condition en route, change the patient ambulance, charging the patients can be done through this, operational efficiency of the vehicles can be done through this, turnaround terms can be understood by this, and cost management of the hospital. This is the kind of interface you have. Then this is the kind of report. This is a beautiful report you get. In this report, you will find vehicle number, date, driver name, vehicle type, trip type, patient type. This is humanly impossible for anybody to maintain. A transport supervisor cannot maintain, a driver cannot maintain, all that cannot possible. We can also manage the expenditure that is involved, fuel expenditure, or maybe repair expenditure, changing the tire, or insurance, all that. The documents can be uploaded. You see, there is upload facility there in the end. And we can also make analysis like this, and we'll give you reports, how many kilometers they have run, how much distance they have done, how much of the fuel expenditure, how much trips you are done, because trips are related to distance is related to the fuel expenditure. And we are able to give this kind of a report to the top management. CEO and COO and CFO are only interested in seeing this, but the operational manager can see both. So this is the kind of, what kind of fuel, what is the diesel, what is the petrol, how much they have month-wise, you can give. And you can also give analysis like this. If you have an ambulance, how many useful trips, how many emergency trips, how many trips were made for service, all that analysis we can make here. For lastly, even fire safety equipment, if you have got about 200 fire extinguishers, you have got about, say, 100 fire hydrants, you can put QR codes on that, and the QR codes can be just scanned, and then you can find out whether the gauge is there, whether the gauge is working or not, whether the fire extinguisher is not there. So we can monitor online whether those maintained properly. And like fire extinguishers maintenance checklist, daily fire hydrant maintenance checklist, fire pump room checklist, panic alarm, mark drill, all can be done. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience, Venkat, and thanks for the audience.
Thank you, sir. The delay of 3 minutes is making us to eat more now. So, dear friends, the next question, I think I would like to know something very different. I would like to ask from the regular. Is to Dr. Subbaraman, who heads HCL here in Madurai. So, we are hearing about something called the Day of Singularity. Is it a reality whether we are going to, I got to know from internet that in 2024, we are going to encounter that. So I will be, if they know, they will not sit here, no, sir. So, yeah, really? Okay, how many of you know? Not single of them know the singularity, sir. Yeah. So what I am trying to ask you here is, I will be 70 in 20 to 45. Okay, so how it will help me personally, and how will it transform the entire future of our world?
For a moment, just because we didn't see any show of hands here in terms of what Day of Singularity is, just for nomenclature's sake, Day of Singularity is that day where it's aspirationally defined to be a day where human intelligence is taken over by machine intelligence. Yes? Is that a simple enough definition? Now, while I gather my thoughts, let me probably try and look at it from 3 or 4 different dimensions. I think about 20 years back when Paraxil came out with a drug to treat autoimmune disorders and leukemia. I think TGN 1412 or something. Right? Part of the clinical trials, they sought out volunteers, and consented volunteers came in, and the drug was administered. Now, the metabolization of the drug turned out to be very, very different from how it was in the clinical trials with animals. That accelerated the requirement for non-human based clinical trials. So how do we do? What can we look at? I mean, not that it was not available earlier, it was available, but in bits and pieces, in smaller quantums. So this accelerated the advent of organs on chips, right? Now today you have lungs on chips, kidney on chips, you have heart on chips, you've got everything pretty much on chips, functional. So when the drug gets administered, it gets distributed, you also know how it metabolizes and the rest of the processes as well. It's a functional chip. Now there's experiments going on to get a whole bunch of these together and simulate a very close to a human system. Multiple of these together. Multiple of these together. So and there's somebody working on the most famous that we all have heard about on the Neuralink side, where brain and chip is experimented as well. Now that's the first dimension. Park it there while I come back to try and connect the dots together. So multiple of these organs and chips have come. They're not affordable today. Long way to go. Second dimension is, if you look at the human genome, right? If you try and characterize it, map it, it takes about, if there's about 3 billion pairs of the base, 3 billion base pairs of a human genome, you probably need about 10, 15 gig of memory space to hold, right? And if you're looking at 8 billion humans, and by the time technology advances, let's say 8 billion becomes 10 billion also, you probably will need 10 billion into 15 gig of space to hold if you were to map the entire set of humans in the world. That's about it, and that's like peanuts in today's world of data being available. Now, that project, the genome project that began, did not successfully go. It met a lot of rough weather, but there's still re-attempts being, there are re-attempts being made in that dimension as well. So there is some progress happening in trying to map the human genome. Now, what's the aspiration there is, with that, can you mimic with the organs and chips, can you mimic a human being? Can you mimic Dr. Venkat out here? Right? So that's the second dimension. The third dimension, like last few days, let's say I was running 102, and then there's this thing where there's somebody trying to take care of me, putting a thing on my head saying, hey, please don't, everything is all right, okay. Now imagine if that were to be replaced by Mr. Subbaraman, everything is going to be okay, with plastic molded hands, right? The kind of robots that exist today. Now, the acceptance of human beings to be able to work or live in parallel with any other intelligent creature does not exist today, right? Now, for that, there are technologies and systems that are evolving. So this is the third dimension that I would like all of us to think about. Technology is evolving where you can print skin tissues. You can print skin tissues today. The technologies that have come, it's not affordable yet, but over time it will become affordable as well. That's dimension 3. Now when you look at all this, these are all the hard dimensions. Now look at the soft dimension of the multiple technologies you gave to Dr. Ilam, right? From an artificial intelligence standpoint, it's a bunch of algorithms. So many of these algorithms, it's got to be extremely recursive in nature. These are self-learning, and they can, 20 years back, 30 years back, you didn't have systems as they are today. Today you have systems which are able to think very close and make decisions very close to how a human can probably do, which is why when Watson was launched like 20 years back, IBM's Watson was launched 20 years back, many didn't believe. Today there are many such systems that have come in which act as decision support systems today. At some point, with sufficient learning that goes in, these systems will overtake. Now, can potentially overtake. That does not mean that there will be an extinction of a race, right? Now, let's try and put all these points together. On one end, you have organs on chips, through which, because these organs and chips have tissues and membranes in there. Now, with organs and chips and the genome project, etc., trying to mimic human beings, the third dimension is trying to look at robots, etc., as soft beings as possible. Not beings, soft structures as possible, they're not beings. Soft structures as possible. And the artificial intelligence technology getting to a point of beyond our conception today, it is likely possible that in the next 100, 150 years, I think this is likely. Maybe a little sooner, but this is one of the reasons why artificial intelligence is supposed to be managed ethically. Now, if there is one devastative thought of wanting to abuse these 3-4 points that I talked about to wipe a race, it's possible. Which is why you have various bodies, international and national, which work on ethical AI, and they try and tone down the progress of certain technologies just so that they don't overdo or go beyond the human perspective and the human race is protected. That's my view.
Thank you so much. And, it's something very new for all of us. We never even had imagined that technology is going to be in that way. It's exciting. At the same time, there's some fear also. Okay, how our future generations are supposed to live with this kind of technologies. And Dr. Arun is a radiologist, and they run one of the largest radio diagnosis services across Tamil Nadu and various other parts of India, if I'm right. So, Dr. Arun, I have one thing to ask you. So, the first technological, that is AI-driven or machine learning, whatever it is, that was introduced into healthcare in the form of, radio diagnosis, to the best of my knowledge at least. So I was just, and we were very happy as, CEOs, because we can cut a lot of cost, because radiologists are very highly paid in hospitals, and we were thinking that this is going to replace them and we are going to be very happy, and we'll make some bottom lines in that. But I just want to know from you, okay, sitting in the hot seat, how do you think, okay, these technologies in radio diagnosis, are they a complement to the radiologists and the healthcare and the patients, or they're a competitor for you?
Thank you, sir. Interesting question. I can give my opinion in two sorts of ways. I'm a radiologist as well as an administrator. So, in a radiologist's point of view, previously, like in 2017, that statement which you said, AI will replace radiologists. It's an interesting statement. It was made by, I think, Jeffrey Hinton, the man who was heading Google Brain at that time. Come 2022, AI did not replace radiologists 5 years after. Okay, it's too soon, I guess.
It is again limitation of...
You're trying to replace me now?
No, that is artificial intelligence. It will stop only for Ananthapadmanabhan.
There's no AI in there. It's manually triggered.
No emotions. Huh? Yeah. Please restart it. Yeah. Dear audience, I'll assure you we will all have lunch by 2. Okay? And I'll also assure you, Adel, please tell not to start the lunch. Okay, before 2.
So yeah,
Please. Yeah.
2022, AI did not replace radiologists. Post that, what they used to tell was radiologists who use AI will replace radiologists who do not use AI. But the ground truth is, AI is a good tool to have. It increases productivity of a radiologist. Every radiologist should use this, but not in any time soon. Radiologists are not getting replaced. The analogy I would like to resort to is, it's like climbing steps. So a radiologist can climb 90 steps a minute, or he can take a lift and go do it in just 5 seconds. So 90 seconds I told because it takes around 90 seconds to do a chest X-ray reporting, 90 seconds to 120 seconds. Multiply that by 100 chest X-rays, you have to climb so many steps. I would prefer taking a lift. But as a clinical administrator, AI is a no-brainer for me. As you said, we employ around 230 radiologists across India. It's a hard time keeping them in their seat. So the less time that they spend reporting and the more time they spend analyzing is good for us. So the more productive a radiologist, the cost per reportable study goes down for us. So and also it helps in control the quality also, especially for radiographers as well as radiology. We get to know, every week we get to know how many chest x-rays were wrongly positioned or how many chest x-rays were poorly exposed, and we get to know which radiographer did it, and we can explain to them, give classes to them. So these kind of, we do around 1,000 chest x-rays per day. To do a sample takes a lot of human effort, and AI makes it very easy.
That's very good actually. So you are balancing both the portfolios as a radiologist and also as an administrator. So I would also pose the second question to you, which we reserved actually, but in the interest of the time. So what are those radiology technologies that are currently available, and what are you looking at for future? Okay, that really can help the radiologists, and also an accessible and accessible healthcare.
As you rightly said during your first question, radiology AI is, there are more AI algorithms for radiology than any other field in medicine. I think close to 880 algorithms are approved in medicine by FDA. Around 650 of them are in radiology. So it's basically a computer vision model in radiology. Already the data is pretty standardized and structured data, so it becomes easier to do radiology AI. As far as affordability is considered, we use close to 8 AI technology now in our routine clinical practice for chest x-rays, CT chest, MR brain, CT brains. So from ROI standpoint, where affordability comes into play, I can say that 2 of them contribute to a nil profit scenario. All other 5 of them are loss centers for us. They don't make any money, they don't help us do anything. But how can I put this? As a family-owned company, I can say AI is not contributing to our profits or sales. So that I'll put it like that.
But it's definitely helping you to standardize your care plans.
To standardize our care, to improve our quality, less misfindings. Let's just take chest x-ray. Chest x-ray, we do, as I said, around 1,000 chest x-rays. And we did an initial study of around 65,000 chest x-rays, which were reported by radiologists, and then retrospectively we processed them through AI. And we found that I'm guessing around 80 nodules, lung nodules were missed by radiologists, and close to some 16 fractures were missed by radiologists. These we consider as very, very significant findings. So, but AI missed quite a few. AI missed close to 70% of AI reports were wrong at that time. But we thought AI plus a radiologist they won't miss any other findings.
So they complement each other.
They complement each other, yeah.
Thank you so much. And so my Suman, okay, you run a huge AI organization, okay, and you are across the globe, from US to Middle East to Far East and in India. So, Suman, I would like to know, okay, across the world, what are the challenges that healthcare face today, okay, and how technologies, disruptive technologies, more specifically AI, can help resolve these challenges. Most of the challenges are also geographically positioned, and they have relevance to the geography, the economy of that particular country. So what are those challenges you encountered, okay, when you are developing AI tools, okay, to resolve these challenges? And if anything is there specific to Indian context, okay, you can put forward. This is my first question. The second one is, how do you think, because see, when we talk about any technology, there are 2 things which actually comes into our mind as administrators, doctors, clinicians. One is data privacy. Okay, the moment you step into any hospital, you see a CEO or an owner, okay, the first thing they'll ask whether they know how it works, how the data is saved, okay, how it is retrieved, what are the licenses required, what kind of statutory requirements have to be complied. The first thing they'll ask you is, because I was also asking you a decade ago, but not anymore. So how is my data secured? Okay, are you not going to, take my data and sell it outside? So that is one thing. And how is it going to contribute to the top line and the bottom line?
Yeah. So if you look across multiple geographies, especially in the space of hospitals, the common problems that I have seen, interacting with CEOs, is One, they always have this question, how do I sustainably grow my revenue year on year, right? Second, how do I ensure there is a consistency in the clinical outcomes or patient health outcomes? Third, they want to optimize on cost. I mean, there's a difference between blind cost takeout versus cost optimization. And the fourth topic that they were very keen to learn about is the patient experience and the satisfaction piece of it. Now, how AI can contribute this? Before I actually speak on that, I also saw a few myths. I mean, when I was interacting with a lot of C folks, the very first thing is they say AI is too complex. I don't understand. AI is not complex. I think we just make it complex. It's a very, at the end of the day, it's all background mathematics and statistics. It's a higher order mathematics, but if you basically say, it is mathematics, and there are ways to how to actually solve those problems, and there are ways how you can actually put it into very simple language and simple terms as well. The second thing that I also encountered is, it's not for me. Okay. Now, what they're expecting is, can AI tell me what problems to solve? I mean, if you pick up a problem, you can use AI to solve the problem efficiently, right? We are not at there where AI can tell you, hey, you have this problem in this area, go and fix it, right? We are not at there. The third myth that I also found out is AI is too costly. Now, especially in the Indian context, we work with multiple big chains like Medanta, Manipal, all the big ones, Motherhood, we work with them across India. But when I come to the mid-tier or the smaller hospitals, they basically say, hey, for 10,000 rupees, can I get 10 lakhs in return? Right? I mean, you can't be seeing AI like this. You're spending 1 lakh, yes, 5 to 10 lakhs of return is reasonable. You're spending 1 crore, 10 to 15 crores is reasonable. But I'm spending 1 crore, I want 100 crores in return, that doesn't add up. I mean, nobody on earth will be able to do that. I think the best way for me to explain the use case of AI is with an example. When I say, how do I consistently grow my revenue? Let's pick one of the use case. Let's say there are about 10,000 patients who came to your hospital last year, okay? And let's say all these 10,000 patients are chronically ill. And if you see, by the nature of these conditions, these patients are supposed to come back and visit their doctor at least once in a year, irrespective of the severity, whether low severity or the medium or the high severity. But if you go back and look into your data records, you will be surprised to see, if you are in a tier 1 location, you will be surprised to see not more than 35 to 40% actually come back, right? And if you are in a tier 2 city, maybe up to 50%. We have validated this at multiple hospitals in multiple geographies. What happens to the rest of the 50, 55 or 60% of the people who don't come back? We never pay attention to that, right? As a hospital, we never pay attention to that. But we done a survey, and what we found out is 50 to 55% of the patients who did not come back just said, I just forgot. 20 to 25% of the patients said we moved to the competition. That accounts for almost 70 to 80% of the patients who did not come back. So if you think about what really happened, as a hospital, we did not engage with any of these patients since the time they visited the last time. So visiting the hospital next time or following a compliance kind of a guideline is not at all in their priority, it's not in their head, right? And whenever they had a requirement, maybe they are kind of influenced by the family members or neighbors to go to nearby hospital. So as a hospital, it is our patient, but we never actually took care of them. So this is where there are two ways to solve this. Now I have 40,000 patients who did not come back or 60,000 patients who did not come back. Can I use AI to figure out who have the highest chance of come back, right? I have a manpower of only 2 people and I need to figure out how do I effectively use these 2 people. So what are the top 20% of the patients I can focus so that I get my maximum returns, right, from that. So that is one way. The second use case is, I want to use a technology platform to educate to entire my patient population to make sure they are coming back as required to manage their compliance. But then, is it reducing my tasks to do? For example, if that requires around 10 people to actually handle, can I use the platform to and get the work done with one person, right? And this is where the second use case of AI comes from. So, bottom line is, one, if you have a use case to solve, AI can actually give you a way to actually go and solve the use case in the most efficient manner, so that you spend less but your returns are more, right? That is one way how you look at it. One use case, and I'll answer the second question, just one more use case. This is one common problem where, especially I have seen this across multiple hospitals. I'm not once the patient is discharged from the hospital, I'm no longer worried about the patient, right? I'm more interested only in the top line. These are the very common things that I hear. But one thing I would like to mention here is, if you discharge 1,000 patients from your hospital, that doesn't mean that all 1,000 patients will have a good recovery, right? So, one, I don't think so even the doctor will be able to make the risk level assessment of every individual before discharge and say that most probably this patient will deviate in the next 30 days. Let's take a very simple example of a congestive heart failure. Now, in the discharge summary, everybody writes, if you have fever, chest pain, shortness of breath, please come back or call this number. Whereas in reality, there are 24 different things that can go wrong with the patient. He can have a numbness in his left hand, he can have a swelling in the leg, he can have an abdominal pain that doesn't go with normal medication. And these are all signs and symptoms that are quite alarming and requires immediate physician attention, right? Even a physician will not, even if you educate all these 24 things to a patient, the patient may not remember all these things. So, when a human is unable to say who is actually going to deviate, at what point they'll deviate, you need a platform like an AI platform that will tell you, hey, here is a 72-year-old male, he has comorbid conditions of diabetes, hypertension and asthma, he got a congestive heart failure diagnosis, treated in the hospital for 4 days of length of stay, and is discharged. Most likely, he might be experiencing bruises on the skin and blood in the stool exactly 7 days from today, with a 95% chance. Then you make a touch point with the patient, right? You make a touch point with the patient, confirm, yes, are you having any of these symptoms? If the patient says yes, immediately connect him back to the physician. Now, what is a good thing for the hospital here? They don't have to come and knock your doors. You are finding, from within your patient population, you are finding proactively who requires your intervention. Now, is this going to be a costly thing? No. What would be the return? Returns would be multifolds. But it's a thought process. I want to make my hospital very efficient not only from a revenue perspective, but also from a cost and quality aspects as well. So you will start articulating use cases and then figure out how do I use an AI technology to solve those things. So technically, if you look at all the departments of the hospitals, there are 208 use cases that you can use AI. I'm only talking about 2 cases.
So okay. Thank you, Suman. That's very good input, practically. So we have only 3 more questions and we have 5 minutes. I'm sure that you all gracefully embrace this realistic situation. You can go ahead with it.
I'll ask Dr. Ilan. I know that you are heading Dr. Rela Institute and the CEO of the institute. Could you tell us what are the specific AI tools that you are using, especially in your liver, transplantation space? Specific, AI tools that you find useful.
See, one of the tools what we use is prediction. I think what he has spoken already to find out whether the transplant can be successful, what kind of complications it can come. For getting to this stage, we need a lot of data. One of the problem in AA is we can't adapt some of the tools which is being used in the Western countries because the patient demographics are completely different. For us to use any AA tools, I think it's important for us to develop our own AA tools because our patient data is completely different. One huge advantage what we have been having in our center is, if you look at last 15 years of our practice, we have thousands of patients of data available. So we are able to develop our own AA tool which can predict outcome in liver transplantation. Even the matching of donor and recipient can be easily done based using the existing data using the AA tool. So this is one area where we use AA tool.
I would suggest let us close the session because we are beyond time and there won't be any more lunch there.
Yeah, we accept it because of others' mistakes. We will pay for it. Okay, thank you, Adel. Okay, for making this statement. So anyway, we have very good 2-3 questions, but I am extremely sorry, Ananthapadmanabhan sir. I know you are not happy about that, but then we have to go with it. You're all hungry, and dear friends. So I'm sure that there's a lot of learning for all of us. Okay, takeaways. One thing what we noticed here is yes, the technologies can, for the clinicians, it can help to create clinical pathways specific to patients. Yes, it can do. It can bring in more accessible and accessible healthcare. Yes, it can do. With time, technologies can also make your top lines more, healthier. Your bottom lines, they can cut costs. They can have a lot of control over, your operations. More specifically, okay, with reference to your data collection and interpretation. All these things are for sure. But what they cannot do is they cannot replace a human. That is for sure. I'll tell you a very simple. The AI itself is suggestive of that. What is AI? It is artificial intelligence. So there is no reality. There is only artificialness in that. So it is suggestive of it that it cannot replace humans. And there is a standing example a few minutes ago. Okay, when Dr. Ananthapadmanabhan was asking me, okay, please understand I am an old man. If it is not Venkat who is a human and it is a humanoid, it would have answered, I never asked you to become old. Correct or not? If it is an artificial intelligence humanoid, it would have only told, I never asked you to become old. And he said, I went to Thanjavur and came. The artificial intelligent humanoid would have told, I never asked you to go to Thanjavur. It was not in the plan. Because it doesn't have, or it cannot choose to understand the emotions and the experiences of a person. But a human can. That is what as a human I did for him and gave 3 minutes extra. So that's the difference the human intelligence can make for each one of us. But at the same time, we cannot avoid or neglect artificial intelligence or any technology that comes our way. Technology and human power are like rails, the two rails. They have to be aligned properly and they have to be strengthened to take the ride on the rails. The better the alignment is, the stronger the rails are, the faster the train can move and reach the goal. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will conclude this session with this, and I am sure despite your hunger, okay, your appetite, okay, in your brains is filled with some excellent knowledge, and thank you so much for the patience here. Thank you, the panel members, for your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. To felicitate the panel session, I request Mrs. Gayatri Sandeep to please felicitate Dr. Ilankumaran Kaliamoorthy, Mr. U.K. Ananthapadmanabhan, sir, Dr. Arunkumar Govindarajan, Mr. Suman, Mr. Subbaraman Balasubramanyan, the chair, Mr. Venkata Phanidhar, our co-chair, Mrs. Sandhya Cherian, thank you so very much for really presiding over this session in a very interactive manner.